بكل تفاصيله وجوانبه، تعزيز التشاور والتنسيق ما بين بلدينا، وكذلك العلاقات الاقتصادية والتجارية، وخاصة مع إطلاق الحوار الاستراتيجي الاقتصادي بين الأردن والمملكة المتحدة العام الماضي، والذي تبعه عدد من اللقاءات الحوارية، وتم من خلالها تحديد مجموعة من المجالات ليتم تعزيز هذا التعاون ونقل الخبرات والمساعدات الفنية البريطانية إلى الأردن، خاصة على صعيد الإصلاح الاقتصادي. وجزء كبير من اجتماعنا صباح اليوم تركز على الوضع في سوريا وأهمية اجتماع عمان الوزاري مساء اليوم. ويأتي هذا الاجتماع حقيقة لدعم المسار السياسي الذي لطالما أكدنا عليه كموقف ثابت للمملكة الأردنية الهاشمية، بأن الحل للأزمة في سوريا يجب أن يكون حل سياسي يضمن وحدة سوريا وسيادتها على أراضيها وأمن وأمان شعبها. هذا هو الموقف الثابت للأردن، وهذا ما سنؤكد عليه اليوم، وخاصة أن هذا الاجتماع يأتي بعد اجتماع شبيه في اسطنبول في 20 من نيسان الماضي، واجتماع سبق ذلك في روما في شهر شباط بداية هذا العام، وبعد الاتفاق الذي حصل بين الجانب الأمريكي والجانب الروسي حول البناء على وثيقة أو إعلان جنيف العام الماضي والاستعداد للمؤتمر الدولي الذي تم الاتفاق على عقده. هذا كله يدعم المسار السياسي الذي نتحدث عنه. تحدثنا أيضا في الانعكاسات الإنسانية للأزمة السورية على دول الجوار وخاصة الأردن. الأردن اليوم يستضيف حوالي 540 ألف لاجئ سوري، والعبء الذي يتحمله الأردن في هذا المجال، وخاصة الأثر على القطاعات الحيوية للاقتصاد الأردني مثل الطاقة والمياه والصحة والتعليم وكذلك فرص العمل. وفي هذا المجال اسمحوا لي أن أقدم الشكر للمملكة المتحدة على الدعم المستمر وعلى المساعدات التي تلقاها الأردن كمساهمة لمساعدته على التعامل مع هذا الوضع. لا شك بأن القضية المحورية التي نؤكد عليها دائما والتي بحثناها في تفصيل اليوم صباحا أيضا ملف السلام والجهود الرامية إلى إحياء مفاوضات سلام جادة في إطار زمني، وخاصة مع هذا الزخم الذي نشاهده من الجانب الأمريكي تحديدا. ومتفقين كلنا بأن الدعم المطلوب من أوروبا من المملكة المتحدة ومن كل الأطراف المعنية، ولكن المساهمة الإيجابية والدور الرائد الذي قد تقوم به الولايات المتحدة. وهناك جهد كبير يقوم به وزير الخارجية الأمريكي. ولا ننسى أيضا بأنه كانت هناك زيارة للرئيس أوباما في شهر آذار الماضي ولقائه مع جلالة الملك عبد الله الثاني هنا في الأردن، وزيارته للأراضي الفلسطينية ولإسرائيل، وكذلك اللقاء الذي جمع جلالة الملك مع الرئيس أوباما بعدها ب4 أو 5 أسابيع في واشنطن، والجهود التي تبذل مع كل الأطراف المعنية. نحن نريد أن نرى مفاوضات جادة تفضي إلى إقامة الدولة الفلسطينية المستقلة ذات السيادة الكاملة على التراب الوطني الفلسطيني. هذا موقفنا، وعاصمتها القدس الشرقية، ونريد أن نرى الأمن والأمان والسلام في المنطقة بأسرها. ودور بريطانيا في هذا المجال دور دائما ريادي وقيادي، وهناك قناعة مشتركة بضرورة الوصول إلى هذا الحل السلمي. So very briefly, Foreign Secretary, it's a privilege and an honor to have you visit Jordan here this morning, and the Foreign Ministry in particular. Again, I welcome you again, sir. And I mentioned in Arabic that you had a pre-scheduled visit, a bilateral visit that now coincides with important ministerial meeting on Syria, which we are going to hold this evening. We value and cherish the historic relationship with your country, with the United Kingdom, and I mentioned that we discussed all aspects of our bilateral relations and ways and means to enhance them, and of course our discussions on Syria and the topics that we will be discussing in support of this objective of a political solution that we all seek, and that has been the firm position of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. I also mentioned that the Middle East peace process and the attempts to revive meaningful negotiations that tackle all final status issues were very much on the agenda of our discussion this morning. It's always a pleasure to see you, sir, to consult with you, and to have you as a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be back in Jordan and to discuss the many issues with my friend and colleague, Foreign Minister Nasser Judah, as it always is a pleasure to take his advice and counsel and work out together the best way forward on many difficult issues. So I thank him for the invitation and the opportunity to reaffirm the close ties between the United Kingdom and Jordan and our long-standing friendship. I value the close cooperation we have on so many issues, particularly the work we're doing together on the crisis in Syria, and of course on the vital issue, as you have just been hearing, of the Middle East peace process. This morning, as ever, we agreed on the need for an urgent return to negotiations on a two-state solution in the interests of all parties, and express our full support for the efforts of Secretary Kerry. I think Jordan and the UK are very closely aligned on these issues, and we always value the role that Jordan plays in trying to advance the Middle East peace process. I reaffirmed to Foreign Minister Judah and to Prime Minister Mansour, whom I met earlier today, our full support for this country's efforts in economic and political reform to meet the aspirations of the people of Jordan. And I conveyed my thanks for Jordan's continued cooperation on the case of Abu Qatada. I was last here in July last year when I saw firsthand up at the border with Syria the suffering of thousands of Syrian refugees who had fled across the border into Jordan. These were families who had lost their homes, their livelihoods, their loved ones. And since then, since last July, the number of refugees entering Jordan to escape the violence and brutality in Syria has increased, I think, by more than 400,000. An enormous number in that time. It is a huge number, and we are aware of the strain that this places on Jordan, on communities in Jordan, and I pay tribute to the people of Jordan for their hospitality, for the work that they do to help their country cope with this number of refugees. The generosity shown by Jordan to its neighbors and to those in dire need is a great credit to the country. You have recognized your obligation to assist people in this crisis, and we in the rest of the world have an obligation to assist Jordan and other countries neighboring Syria in this desperate situation. In fulfilling that obligation, the United Kingdom is one of the largest bilateral donors to countries coping with refugees from the Syrian crisis. We're providing so far £171 million of vital assistance for food and shelter and healthcare for refugees who have fled a brutal regime and terrible fighting. This includes £26 million of support for Jordan, and we're looking at what more we can do. Last week I informed our Parliament that we will provide equipment to the Jordanian armed forces to help them deal with the immediate needs of Syrian refugees at the border and to transport them safely to international humanitarian organizations. We continue to work with other donors and with international agencies to ensure that Jordan and Syria's other neighbors receive the assistance that they need. And we recognize as this crisis becomes worse and the number of people involved become worse, that we need to be able to do this in a long-term, sustained way. This crisis, the humanitarian crisis, underlines the urgency of reaching a political solution and a diplomatic breakthrough to back a political solution. And as we have discussed earlier today, bringing an end to the appalling violence in Syria is essential. The consequences for Syrians, for security in the region, of a protracted conflict, escalating humanitarian crisis, and deeper sectarian divisions are all too clear. And so later this evening, both of us will join many colleagues from around the world at a meeting of the core group of the Friends of Syria. It's a crucial moment for Syria's future as we prepare for a conference in Geneva in the coming weeks. We need to get on with that conference. People are dying in large numbers. The situation is worsening all the time. Regional stability is threatened all the time. And so this is no time to delay. And this conference aims to bring together the regime and the opposition in a serious diplomatic effort aimed at achieving political transition. That is what this meeting is about. And the United Kingdom and its partners stand ready to provide support to the National Coalition, the Syrian opposition, in its preparations for the conference to help ensure that talks can be as productive as possible. So I thank the Foreign Minister for his continued friendship and support on all of these issues. Working closely with Jordan is very important to the United Kingdom in all of these issues. And I'm pleased to say on the basis of all our discussions today, a daily basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.